Welcome to the JBC Season 4, Episode 3. How you doing? I'm loving the shell suit. I'm
It is static as fuck. And it's noisy, so if you hear rustling, I apologise. I can't help it today. But yeah, it's officially 90s.
Oh, very, very much so. And I'm loving the side ponytail as well. I'm sure Tiny Tor would have really liked that side ponytail as well, wouldn't she? So
it's actually quite a lot of effort to try and get it to go to the side.
Really?
Yeah.
Gravity
anyway,
and everything.
The things that I do.
Yeah, so welcome to the show. So this last week, obviously since last time we recorded, the world opened up a bit, and I thought I was going to tell you my story about Sunday. On Sunday, I went back to bouldering because I love doing my climbing and stuff. So that was very, very exciting.
Yes.
The problem is that a friend of mine was aware of the fact that the bouldering gym is quite close to IKEA. So they'd asked me as to whether I would pop into IKEA to pick up a particular item. So I was like...
No one pops into IKEA.
Well,
there's no popping involved.
Yeah,
it's always an entire day.
I know. So anyway, what happened was I thought, okay, well, I'll go there. And I go climbing stupidly early on a Sunday. So had to kind of mooch around the local area until it opened. And I thought, you know what? It opens at 11. We'll go at 10:30 just to make sure we're sort of in line right at the front. Anyway, you know when you go to Disneyland or you go to Alton Towers and you have those queues, yeah? It was like that. There was like a fucking queue of about 200 people.
IKEA is like the adult Disneyland though, isn't it?
Yeah, but it wasn't fun. It wasn't fun. Because you see, the thing is, I have previously, because of IKEA food, because they do like great vegan hot dogs and loads of stuff like really super cheap. I have become a bit of an expert at being able to navigate IKEA without having to spend a lot of time in there. However,
what magic is this?
However, the thing is that because of the fact that they were trying to snake people into store, they snaked people through the store, which meant that you had to go through the showroom as opposed to just jumping down onto the ground floor, which I normally do.
You couldn't do Jamie's sneaky shortcut.
Exactly. So anyway, I went all the way there. And anyway, I was asked to go and find something that was called Ivor. So I'm always confused when they give something a human name. And anyway, there's 48 aisles. There's 48 aisles in there. Which aisle is the product in? It's in aisle 48, of course. So after looking down every single other aisle, I get there and I'm told that the product is £128. So I'm like, okay, where is the one that's £128? Then realise that it's all in different pieces, all based around different shelves. So it's suddenly like being in an escape room. I get all of the stuff together. I'm having a bit of a nervous breakdown. My son, who admittedly he's 21, he's not a small child, but he disappears. I'm not dealing
with this. You're on your own, Dad.
I have no phone signal because it's a huge concrete building. I'm going into meltdown. I get there and I think, right, no, that's it. I've got all of the pieces. Go to the checkout. They scan all the items through the checkout. I bring it back and then it's, Jamie, where are the legs? And I'm like, what do you mean, where are the legs? And it was a one of two boxes, but it was written in really small writing. So today, after recording this, I am going back to IKEA, which I'm not looking forward to. But yeah, that's...
No, IKEA, man, is a nightmare. We're obsessed with the little dime bars because you can get the big multi-pack bag. We literally just go to IKEA to get them and then just snaffle them on the drive home. They're so good. No, me and my friend Helena, we used to, like in the kids area, they made it so it's a bit more fun and you can crawl between the rooms. There's like little tunnels and stuff. I mean, we're fully grown adults, but we still fit. So we'll still go and like do all of that. I bloody love an IKEA trip. I remember once going there and I was like trying out all the sofas. And I threw myself onto one that looked really comfortable and it was like no padding at all. It just landed on like hard wood and was like, oh.
Do you know
have you heard of the game IKEA Raw Cheese?
No, but I'm liking the sound of it.
It's the best game. It's literally just like all of the products.
Yeah.
It's some of them are cheeses, but you have to guess if it's an IKEA product or the name of a cheese. It's amazing.
Maybe at some point in the not too distant future, given the fact that they have pretty good Wi-Fi and they've got recordings and it's equidistant, maybe that's the place that we do a JBC. Like once we can do it.
Just set up in the living room, just put all the mics down, like.
Yeah, I know. They've got great working spaces.
They did a sitcom in IKEA. There was an IKEA sitcom. It was literally just like a group of friends who went and recorded an entire sitcom in IKEA.
Perfect. There we go. We can do that.
So good.
So, yeah, I've got to go back to IKEA. But anyway, last week on the JBC, we kind of moved slightly away from the pornographic magazine, although we will come back to it at some point in the future, because we were looking back at photographs of ourselves back in the 90s. Now, in 1991, as we established, I was just sort of a spotty, moody 14-year-old, 15-year-old boy, whereas you were a tiny, squidgy little Michelin Man baby.
I was a Michelin Man baby.
Yes, and we had set upon recreating some of our photographs. Now, and I know that you've done really, really well with this.
I had the best time.
Did you?
This has, I think, been my favourite challenge that we've done.
Oh, really?
I really enjoyed it. It was so much fun.
Well, do you know something? I'm going to go first because I do have another photo. I do have another photograph which will be far better than the one that I've done. But the thing is, obviously, your face kind of sets in when you're in your sort of teenage years. So the thing is, there's no big massive changes. You know, I'm not a full Terry Nutkins yet. I haven't like sort of gone completely bald or anything like this. So you know, but and I've still got reasonably long hair. But I have got another one in the works, but that involves somebody else as well. So that will be coming onto Instagram at a later point. But if I send you, I'm going to send you the photograph now. What I've decided to do is I thought, do you know what would be fun? I'm going to morph the two photographs. So it gives you an opportunity to see where I was and where I now am. So here we go. I'm going to send this to you through the powers of technology by pressing this button and sending it like this. This is fun for a podcast, isn't it? People are waiting. There we go.
Jamie is slowly pressing buttons. Technology is happening.
Oh, it is. Yeah, I've sent it. It says it's sent. So you should be receiving that now. Is it
on Messenger or on WhatsApp?
I sent it on Messenger.
On Messenger.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
It's just having a party to itself. Oh, here we go.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Oh, all right, I'm ready. It's a little video. Okay. I mean, it's a hell of a pose.
It is quite a pose, isn't it?
Oh, look at you! That's magic.
It is, yeah. So I've morphed a photograph of me from 1991 into one of me in 2021, and surprisingly, I'm. Were you
trying to be serious in that photo? Was that meant to be like a I think I'm cool, or is that a sardonic? Ironic, I think I'm cool.
I think I was trying to be cool, I'll be honest with you.
All right.
Do you know something? I remember actually that particular photograph. It's a black and white photograph which was taken in a place called The Cells, which was actually the boarding rooms at the school I was at. But they were called The Cell. They were called The Cells. And I just remember my friend Jason, he'd got some black and white film. And he was getting into the process of doing his own photographs, and there was a dark room at the school and things. So he'd taken, so he'd taken the photographs, and he's like, right, do a pose. And I'm like, okay, I'll do a pose. You do a cool pose. You know, back then you didn't get the opportunity to do it like 300 times and then choose the best one.
You had to just one hit wonder it.
Yeah, and do you know something? Actually, when it came to actually recreating the pose, with the exception of the fact that I realised I had to slouch my shoulders because, as I've got older, I think, Alexander technique and stuff has helped me, yeah. But I had to do the sort of slouch pose. But it was quite easy getting back into JT 1991 pose.
Your teenage self now.
Do you know something? I think sometimes in my own head I'm still 14. It's only when I look in the mirror and I'm like, who the fuck's that I realise that actually, yeah, the years have passed. And the passage of time with having children, I think, to be fair, is a constant reminder of the fact that I'm getting older and older and older. But anyway,
you're still a massive child.
I am a massive child. Yes. Don't grow up, grow older. So anyway, I think it's time that you start explaining your photographs because I cannot wait to see these.
So I've done 3 different outfits because I love them all. I don't know which one to start with. Do you want the proper baby one first?
Yeah, let's go. Let's go chronologically.
I'll go for the proper baby one. Yeah. So that one's coming to you now, which I think worked pretty well. And
do you know what you did? You did exactly what I said in it. You said, because I said about it looking like, is it a pepper grinder?
Pepper grinder.
It does look like a pepper grinder. Oh, that's amazing. You're slightly less chunky these days, aren't you? Bless you.
I am slightly less chunky.
Oh,
I don't have.
I'm suitably impressed. And you managed to find.
Thank you.
You do still look like a little Polly Flinder. Are you wearing the same? Are you wearing the same hat? That's the thing. It looks like you've just sort of.
No, it's a little bonnet from one of our outfits, and then I've tied a I don't have a fun patterned swimsuit anymore.
No.
So I've had to tie a t-shirt around my middle.
That's amazing.
That was literally 10 minutes ago. So that was this morning. The
that's
next
absolutely brilliant.
one I am very happy with.
Yeah.
Mainly because the dress was such a find.
Oh, wow. So we talked last week about the sort of modelling pose with the hand and the stripy dress, and oh goodness me, that is perfect, isn't it? So and absolutely recreating the pose.
The last ones are my favourites. So these are. I went to my parents' garden to go and take these as well.
Oh, I was going to say, I was really hoping that you were going to recreate these.
Yeah, so I went and did them.
Did your parents find it hilarious as well? I'm sure they did, didn't
Mum
they?
and Dad were both like, "What are you doing?"
Oh, bless you. So in the original photographs, it was a montage. It was 3 photographs where you were strutting very, very cool poses. One where you're sort of leaning over yourself, but with your little foot up and smiling to camera. The other one where you're sort of turning back on yourself, and the other one where you're doing a rather large curtsy. And then you've managed to do all 3. Oh my goodness!
But we were in the back garden. Mum was like, "Bend down lower towards the flowers. You should be nearer the flowers." I was like, "Mum, I'm not 3 foot tall anymore." Because she was just like, "You need to have your face nearer." And I was like, "I can't bend that close."
Do you know something? The thing that is genuinely amazing is that you have yellow flowers. Admittedly, I don't think they're daffodils in those, but
they're not daffies, because that was back in March when they're out normally.
But it wasn't a dissimilar time of year. And is it the same garden?
Well, they've massively redone it.
But it's still the same garden.
It's the same garden, but we couldn't quite line up the shots with how it should have been, because there's things in the way now.
Yeah. Oh, that's utterly amazing. These will all be up on Instagram if you're listening to the podcast via Anchor. I encourage you to go and have a look. That's absolutely brilliant. As I say, so much fun to do. The thing is, it's trying to get together, as you say, the clothes from that era.
Yeah, I mean, the dress for the one in the back garden, it's covered in ducks. It's got the word fat duck on there or something. I was like, okay. So I was thinking about cutting it out. And I was like, it's just going to take way too long. I'm going to cut out a load of paper numbers and stick them on. I was like, it's too much effort. I found a horrendous gold yellow dress. That will do.
Oh, that worked absolutely perfectly. Yeah, no, I encourage everybody to go and look. Oh, you're still sweet. You haven't really changed either, have you? Really, bless you.
Dad was like, you need to smile with dimples. I was like, Mum was like, she can't smile any other way. I was like, my face isn't quite as square as it used to be, but I was looking back and I was like, still dimples in the same places.
That's it. I think your face from 1991 to now, your face has gone from being round to slightly less round, and mine's gone from being
pretty round.
Yeah, and mine's gone from being slightly less round to more round as well. So that's we've got the opposite issues from the photos from that particular era. But anyway, going back to Club International, which is where we started, I said last week that we were going to start on a story. Now, the story's particularly not in porn mags written by women who are filthy but also very entertaining. Ones unfortunately written in gents mags written by men do tend to be a bit too generic, and I was getting slightly bored with the way that they were being written. So I'd happened upon a particular thing that you could do where you can scan photographs of text, and then you can try and get this program to then lift the text from that, and what it wrote instead and the mistakes it makes along the way entertain me far more than the original work. So I'm going to start. Some of it actually holds quite true, and then there are other bits which are clearly better than what was written in the first place. And in some points, although I've tried to make it more like in the pattern that it was, there are occasions where it has just swapped paragraphs and things like this for reasons I don't really know. But the beginning of it is actually quite quite the same as it was there, I think, because the text was slightly bigger. And this week it's called Couples Confess. It goes,
okay.
Share and share alike. That's the idea of good group sex. And here in Couples Confess is where you share your dirtiest real life experiences with us. And this one's called Dirty Discovery, which I thought might just be like somebody'd forgotten to flush the toilet. But anyway, here we go. It goes, although several months have passed since the events that I'm going to tell you about, I still get a tingling in my pussy whenever I think about them, and I still can't believe that I actually did them and that I'm still doing them. Now, okay, I haven't changed this, but they've used the word them to describe something 3 times in the same sentence. So again,
I like that it was like, I did them, there was a thing, I'm still doing it, I can't believe I did the thing, there was a thing. Okay, sure.
I know, exactly. It's
also,
not
everyone loves a tingling pussy.
Yeah, this is true. This is true. So it goes, and I'm still doing it. I've always been pretty tandy and game for anything when it comes to set with my curvy figne and long red hair. Mokes have always been quite ken sex with me as well, and so I'm only 20D, say that I'm pretty experienced. Yes. I've been working for 4 years in an immense office, and for the last 2 years, say, gone on holiday to Spum for a fortnight with my friend from work, Julie.
Honestly, there should definitely be holiday trips to Spum.
She's just like me, always up for it, and those holidays have just been full of flirting and fun and not a little sangria. This year, I was looking forward to more of the same, but 2 weeks before we were due to go. Julie pot meadles and was ordered to stay in bed for a whole month. Pot meadles, yes. Pot meadles.
No.
Was bemoaning the fact that I rang her the week before. I'll be no fan at all on my own, I reckoned, but you won't be going your own if I get my way, Julie replied. It turned out that she was planning to sell her ticket. It's just a suggestion, she continued, but I was thinking that I could flog my ticket to Samantha. I couldn't believe that she was planning. Sam was the thought we bound to office wallflower. Really find at least one tasty bloke, saint, and whenever we pissapple about boyfriendals and discussed sex, she never Pinot in, even when we went an office outing, she never even eyed up a bloke. But as we tooted about the was ingling at her long legs and lovely figure, thought I'd let my hair down as I'm on holiday. She greased at me and managing to eye up 3 hickeys. Simultaneously, I grind back and immediately knew that we were going to have great time. As soon as we arrived at our hotel that evening, Sam wanted to go off down to the disco that was in the basement of the hotel. It was a really big one and open to hecking, but Sam had other ideas, making them both go sit on the bed. She told me to go and undress them one by me. Have a good look at their bodies, she told me, standing there looking very authoritative, and tell me if they come up to Sir standards. Both lads lay back on the bed, looking slightly puzzled, but obviously very armed as I stripped them of their shorts and t-shirts one after the other. Both of them were wearing very tight briefs and had sosh firm hod-ons that their helmets were poking out of the tops. It's not a great image, is it, really? Oh dear, like poop. I've lost my place now. Okay, so...
It's all those Sosh Farm hud-ons,
Yes.
Jamie. It's distracting you.
I know. Says Dancer, both lads had shorts and t-shirts, one of them, and Sosh firm hard-ons that their helmets were poking out at the tops. I've said it again. I could feel my pussy juicing as I took in the sight of these hard-ons.
Juicing!
Yeah.
Like, I just imagine like an orange down there, just like... Off we go!
Yeah, that's what sex is like in magazines, isn't it? Oh, dearie me. Sam wasn't really to plan. We giggled as we thought it might be fun if I tried to get Sam to come out of her shell. Oh, this is where I think they've jumped the story around, but this is the text thing.
Okay.
Yeah. We might even find out that she's a nympho, I chanted. To my surprise, Sam seemed pleased when Julie rang her and offered her the ticket. Oh, so we've gone back in time.
Oh, yes, here we go. We've gone back in time.
I wondered if it would be in a huge disaster, but decided that for the sake of having a holiday, I'd have to put a brave face on it and make the best of things. I certainly got a shock when Sam met me at the airport before we flew out. She strode up wearing the briefest of cut-off shorts and the skimpiest top I've ever seen. It keeps jumping to the wrong place. I'm going to skip that bit then, because it's intentionally trying to skip, I think.
Is this because magazines are written in like columns? So it's
yeah,
like
I know.
taken
So
photos
it's
and
jumped
been
it.
confused by
yeah.
it.
She thought she'd let her hair down. So as we were the evening, so I would go off down to the disco. Done that bit when we walked into the Don's Ever Blokes. Yeah, go on, pet on, and she. Okay, surely this wasn't the same office shrieking Violet I'd known for the last 6 months. Go on, pet. On with a she in hurled. I didn't know.
Pet! Always a sexy phrase.
Yeah, I know. I didn't which lad to choose first, so I just dived on Piers, who was the nearest, guiding his hand down to my pussy so that he could finger me and feel how wet I was. I'd never been wetter. I could feel Philippe pressing behind me as Pierre was in front, and so I surging up against my stomach and rubbing into my pubes. Every time I moved it, I could feel those cocks rubbing on my skin, the ends slightly wet and pre-cum, and little frissons of excitement went through my pussy.
Frissons!
Yes.
How has managed to pick up the word frissons, but not managed to...
No, I know, because I know it's weird, isn't it? Maybe it just picked up on the fact there was a bit of French there, because you got Pierre and Philippe. Maybe that was the thing. Philippe, oh, hang on, got a voice here. Philippe, I think Lisa's ready for a length of cock now, Sam instructed.
Said no one ever.
Do it to her. Do it.
I'm ready for a length of cock now.
Yeah. Do it to her. Do it from behind. I love the fact that in these stories, there's only ever like 2 lines of dialogue. They never do any more than that. Yeah.
No.
I felt myself being lifted up, and then Philippe was gently pulling my buttocks upwards and parting my swollen, soaking wet clunge lips. We're going back to that because I'm not going to use that word again. So that he could push the tip of his cock between them. Pierre was now lying underneath me, still fingering me, my little clitty, and breathing hard, as he fought not to shoot his load. I closed my eyes and waited for the blissful feeling of being filled up with cock. Lovely. Oh, hang on. Wait! Shouted Lisa. I looked over my shoulder and saw that she was rooting through her case. She turned back to us, then triumphantly brandishing a pack of condoms. Oh, at least they're thinking safety first. It's 1991. Yes, we've had a decade of people learning about the importance of wearing contraceptives.
Yep.
You can't be too careful these days, she said to us, and next minute she was carefully and expertly rolling a fine condom over Philippe's stiffy. It looked like
well done, girl.
It looked like an erotic sight, standing up, hard and throbbing. I could see the veins standing out there through the thin rubber. Oh, there we go. Now we can fuck. Sam told her. Also,
now we can fuck.
Now we can.
French, aren't they?
Now we can fuck her. Sam told him. Put it right up her.
Are they French?
No,
or is the woman speaking?
Yeah, this
still?
is the woman speaking. They haven't spoken at all. They can't even speak English. I think they're just slightly bemused at what's going on.
It's like, what are these crazy English chicks doing?
Yeah. So Philippe seemed only too happy to comply, and the next minute he was pushing slowly up my glange, inch by inch, until he was right inside me to the limit. I cried out with pleasure as he started to thrust each strong lung motion, making my buttocks raise up and my pussy walls contract around them. I hate it when it becomes a science lesson. It's rubbish when it becomes a science lesson. I know.
Pussy walls.
I was on all fours on the bed as he did this, and the sight of my generous boobs dangling was obviously too much for Pierre to take. Oh, poor Pierre.
Poor Pierre.
As his friends fuck me, he fastens his lips onto one of my boobs. And nibbled a bit of my nipple, and it was incredible. There were huge waves of orgasm going through me as I felt Pierre sucking me at the front and Philippe firmly rodgering me from behind. Such an English term of phrase, isn't it? Both of them panting with the effort of it all.
But
Nice.
French sounding, please.
Oh, mon Dieu.
Thank you.
My eyes were closed, my head thrown back with ecstasy, and in my and in the background I could hear little moans. And I guess
I'm so glad we have cameras now to pick up these facial expressions.
Yeah,
we did this the whole time anyway. No one was there to see them.
Exactly.
Now you get to see.
Now you get to see what you see, you poor thing. Guess that Sam was stroking her own, right? Philippe mumbled something. So Philippe doesn't even get an opportunity to speak. He
almost did though. He mumbled. That's more than we normally get.
He probably just went, "Je ne comprends pas." Mumbled something, and then in the next minute, I felt him shoot into the condom. Oh, he was probably going, "I'm coming," but in French. So there we go.
There we go. I know what that is. Yeah. In French.
Yeah. I'm just going to say "Mon Dieu" again because that normally works. I felt him shoot. I came just afterwards, and my pussy. Oh yeah, people constantly orgasming at the same time as they always do. I relaxed forward a little and watched as Pierre cupped my boobs in his hands and manoeuvred himself on the bed so he could wrap them around his cock like a second pussy. Oh right, yeah, it's going for titty stuff.
Getting a tit wank going on. That's new. I don't think we've had that in any of the stories yet.
Yeah, and there goes. I never felt so satisfied. My whole body was tingling and felt alive. There we go. The first time she's felt alive. And although I just had several orgasms on the trot, I felt ready for more and was still tandy. It doesn't pick up Randy for some reason. It
doesn't like Randy, does it?
No.
But it's had like clunge.
I know.
Fine with that.
I know exactly. Philippe had flopped. Do you know something? I'm sorry, that's the name. It's the name of the podcast. Philippe had flopped.
Philippe has flopped.
That's my favourite.
That's like on the battlefield, like the king has died or the king has fallen. Philippe has flopped.
Oh, dearie me. And Pierre rolled out from under me to lie back exhausted. They both had huge grins on their faces. And they started jabbering about to each other in French. Oh, now she's getting a little bit racist. It's like, oh, they're just jabbering.
A little bit racist.
Jabbering, what the made-up language. Obviously comparing notes on whether it was better to fuck my wet, hairy pussy. Oh, it's hairy now, we've learned. Or my warm and accommodating cleavage. Every night of that holiday.
That's probably not what they were discussing.
No, probably not. They're probably like going.
6 out of 10. What do you think, Philippe? Well.
And every night of the holiday, I picked up different blokes and then took down turns to fuck them, always under Sam's strict supervision. What a holiday. And just think, Julie will be coming with us next year too. And this is from Lisa of Northampton. So,
wow. Julie was gutted.
I know.
About all of that.
But I preferred the story. I preferred the story at the beginning when it was just gobbledygook. It was far more fun to read.
Massive gobbledygook. Yeah, I did think they'd progressed very fast from meeting at the airport to suddenly, I'm stripping some guys. But exactly. I understand story jumping around the place.
Yeah.
Wow, what a trip away.
Yeah, exactly. And to be honest, I just feel like the stories now are just, they're not as good as they used to be. They really, really aren't. They really aren't. Although I was just hoping that the jumbled words might do something. So for next episode, what we're going to do is we are, because we haven't done it yet, and it is tradition to do so. We are going to recreate the front cover. So that is in line for the front cover, which is good, because the thing is, actually, for once, it's a photograph which is not going to get us in trouble with anybody, and it's not going to cause problems for us then having to delete loads of photographs on our phones, because it will not. Hopefully,
that doesn't necessarily mean anything, because who knows where your brain is going to go?
Well,
it's going to end up being the worst thing you've ever done.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, you do have a point. So yeah, we're going to be recreating those, delving back into the magazine and venturing back to the early 90s. A period of time in my life where I think a lot happened. They talk about those, like particularly like as a teenager, those being your formative years, and I certainly made my fair share of wonderful mistakes and saw a lot of entertaining things, some of which I'm happy to share now because it's 30 years later and I'm not going to get in trouble with the fuzz or my parents, you know.
This is going to be like a bit of therapy for you, isn't it?
It is, isn't it? Really, it's really funny.
Let's work through all of those issues that you've
I was
kept
talking
with you since the 90s.
Well, it's really funny because I was talking about the 80s. Like I was talking to my son on Sunday, and he bought some pistachios. And do you want some pistachio nuts? And I'm like, yeah, you know, I want some of these.
Pistachios.
And I'm like, do you know something? They always remind me of the time. It was 1987, right? I must have been about 10. And I was allowed to go down to the pond that was sort of down the end of the road, but I was never allowed to cross the road. There was a farm shop over there. And anyway, at one time, I'd gone over to the pond. I hadn't told my mum, and I'd gone across to the farm shop, and I bought myself some pistachios, where I'd sat there like by the river, just like eating these pistachio nuts, and I'd left the shells in my pocket. I came back, and of course, I was caught red-handed with pistachio nuts, shells in my pockets. And my mum's like, you've been there. And I think she probably told me that, I was grounded. And then fast forward to about 6 years later, when I'm sort of 16, 17, and I stumble in the house, horribly worse for wear. And my mum's like, Jamie, do you smoke? And I'm like, no. And I've got like cigarettes hanging out my pocket. She goes, Jamie, do you drink? And I'm like, no. And I'm like pissed out of my mind. Jamie, do you do drugs? No. And like sort of, some hash falls out of my pocket. And yeah, so I mean, pistachio nuts in the 80s were far better than obviously my behaviour in the 90s.
Yeah, we should go back in time. You bet you wish I had pistachios now, don't you, Mum? No, I bloody love pistachios. I was talking to an American friend a couple of years ago. We were at an event and I actually had some pistachios. She was complaining that you can't just buy the pistachio insides here, because I've never seen pistachios bar you have to open the nut up yourself. In America, you can buy just the insides, and they're called nut meats.
Is that what they're called?
How disturbing is that? It's a bag of nut meats. I didn't believe her. She went back to America and sent me a photo. This massive bag of nut meats. I was just like, what?
So you got your beaver rub in Canada. You got your nut meat in America.
I was like, it's more efficient, but could they not have called it anything that was slightly more appealing sounding than nut meats?
No, I know, that sounds absolutely grim. Anyway, so until next week. Bye.
Bye.